Top 10 War Movies on Netflix. War is hell, but war movies can be pretty damn entertaining. Some of the military films below make you reflect, some make you cry, and others will plop you right in the middle of the action. Hey guys, welcome to your entertainment channel Netflix Tops, where we tell you about the top-rated movies and series on Netflix. So grab your popcorn and stay with us until the end of this video, because today's video is going to list down the top 10 war movies on Netflix. So let's get started. Number 10. The Hunt for Buried Gold neither ends well nor goes off without a hitch. The long road of reconciliation, whether with one's trauma, family, or national identity, is never without bumps. Glue these truths together with the weathering effects of institutional racism. Add myriad references to history, American history, music history, film history, and you get Spike Lee's Da 5 Bloods, a classically styled Vietnam action picture made in his cinematic vision. As in 2018's BlacKkKlansman, Lee connects the dots between past and present, linking the struggle for civil rights, couched in conscious objection and protest, to contemporary America's own struggle against state-sanctioned fascism. After opening with a montage of events comprising of figures speaking out against the Vietnam War, referred to predominantly as the American War throughout the rest of the movie, Lee introduces 4 of the 5 Bloods: Otis, Clark Peters, Paul, Delroy Lindo, Eddie, Norm Lewis, and Melvin, Isaiah Whitlock Jr. Bonded Vietnam vets return to Ho Chi Minh City, ostensibly to find and recover the bones of their fallen squad leader, Norman Chadwick Boseman. It is considered as the most thrilling film. Number 9. A harrowing descent into a modern-day heart of darkness. Beasts of No Nation channels Francis Ford Coppola's Vietnam epic Apocalypse Now for its tale of one child's recruitment into an African rebel battalion. Adapting Uzdinmia Iwelia's novel with fearsome intimacy, writer-director Cary Fukunaga depicts his unidentified African setting as a mixture of lushly green forests, bullet-shattered villages, and mist-enshrouded horizons, the last of which is due, at least in part, to the fires that rage throughout the countryside. Those conflagrations are the result of a conflict between government and revolutionary forces, the specifics of which the film, like its precise locales, leaves more or less vague. Fukunaga's film is thus mirrored in a hazy, nightmarish fake of violence and degradation. The director presented a landscape of hellish depravity and amorality through the eyes of one young boy unwillingly swept up in his nation's insanity. Number 8. Zhang Yimou's latest is Shadow, a Wuxing film based on the Chinese Three Kingdoms legend. Zhang Yimou's latest is Shadow, a wuxia film based on the Chinese Three Kingdoms legend, where Yimou's recent filmography either favors substance over dazzle, Coming Home, or dazzle over substance, The Great Wall. Shadow does what the best of his movies do by sewing them together into one seamless package. As in Hero, as in House of Flying Daggers, the anti-gravity fight scenes are stunning to behold. But those movies put performance and action on the same plane, and Shadow deliberately separates them with a gorgeous monochrome palette, backgrounded by grayscale that lets the actors and the copious amounts of blood they spill throughout hold its forefront. Here, in this tale of palace intrigue, Commander Yu, Deng Chao, employs a double to act in his stead, also Deng Chao, his shadow, if you will, to seize control of a city of strategic value from invading forces against orders from his king, Zheng Kai. The film twists and turns, but through Zhang's devoted stylization, the intricacies never overwhelm. Instead, the stylization does. Number 7. When Anthony Minghella adapted Charles Frazier's gripping novel about a Civil War deserter from the Confederate Army and his long journey home to the woman he loves, he enlisted an all-star cast to bring it to life. Jude Law and Nicole Kidman led the marquee, but it was Renee Zellweger's turn as Ruby Hughes, the woman who helped Kidman's character survive on her farm as the nation was torn apart, who earned most of the plaudits. Generously shot, with Romania mostly standing in for North Carolina's Pisgah National Forest, Cold Mountain also introduced the world to the glorious sounds of sacred harp or shape note singing. Number 6. At its best, when text and explication fuse, Five Come Back resembles its source material, the deft combination of historical investigation and incisive criticism that defies Mark Harris's monograph on Hollywood filmmakers in the Second World War. The series' director, Laurent Bazarou, substitutes the language of cinema for Harris's descriptive precision, illustrating technique as even the finest writing cannot. If Netflix's rendition necessarily loses certain nuances for the rare footage alone, Five Came Back is an estimable introduction to the subject, or companion to the text. bodies bobbing off the French coast on D-Day, bloody viscera strewn on the floor of the Higgins boat, Stevens's dreadful record of the Holocaust, later presented as evidence at Nuremberg, which he captured at Dachau in the aftermath of the German retreat. These form the spine of the series' moving valediction, in which images, as journalism, as propaganda, as instruction, as bearing witness, are essential to our understanding of the Second World War and its unimaginable cost. Number 5. We may tease or scorn actors for stepping out of the frame to hunker down behind the camera, because, for whatever reason, we're only cool with artists when they stay in their lane. Think of Angelina Jolie's first, "They Killed My Father," as a democratic response, or if you like, a defiant flip of the bird. It's fitting that Jolie should be the actor to produce a film this accomplished. Whatever promise was found in her earlier movies is fully realized in First They Killed My Father, a brutal movie with a human heart. Jolie doesn't gloss over the horrors of the Khmer Rouge. She knows honesty is the best way to face history and honor the dead, but she doesn't find any nobility in the suffering of Laung Ung's family as they flee from the state-sanctioned genocide. First They Killed My Father's emphasis falls on Laung, on the violence paraded before her young eyes. Jolie, mining tragedy not for misguided sense of importance, but for an exceptional scope, and for, most of all, empathy. Number 4. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, and for Timothée Chalamet's Henry IV, it proves nearly unbearable. It's a heaviness that, at times, pervades the 140-minute film to its determent. Still, Chalamet's performance as the young prince, Hal, who must learn to navigate both court and battlefield, is mesmerizing to watch, surrounded by a strong cast and cinematography that deserves more time on a big screen. Based partly on Shakespeare's play, partly on history, and partly on Michaud's own imagination, the internal conflicts are every bit as elevated as the Battle of Agincourt depicted in The King. Though he prefers peace, he's manipulated by his advisors into attacking France, his former drinking companion's false staff, co-writer Joel Edgerton, his now trusted lieutenant. It's an epic tale of a reluctant king, a political betrayal, and a deadly war. Number 3. Stripes might not be as beloved as Ghostbusters or Groundhog Day, but John Winger, the sarcastic, irreverent cab driver who joins the army after his life falls apart, should be Bill Murray's defining role. Sure, Murray had already developed his voice at Second City and on Saturday Night Live, and premiered it on the big screen with Meatballs, but Stripes put Murray's anti-authoritarianism up against the most authoritarian institution in America, allowing him to reach new heights of smarmy disrespect. And it's not afraid to make him look like an asshole without trying hard to rehabilitate him. Something that can't be said about Ghostbusters or Groundhog Day. Number 2. 2008's Ip Man marked, finally, the moment when the truly excellent but never fairly regarded Donnie Yang came into his own, playing a loosely biographical version of the legendary Grandmaster of Wing Chun and teacher of a number of future martial arts masters, one of whom was Bruce Lee. In Fushan, a city famous for martial arts in southern central China, an unassuming practitioner of Wing Chun tries to weather the 1937 Japanese invasion and occupation of China peacefully, but is eventually forced into action. Limb-breaking, face-pulverizing action fills this semi-historical film, which succeeds gloriously both as compelling drama and martial arts fanbait. Number 1. Filmmakers continue to find inspiring stories from the ashes of World War II and Germany's attempt to extinguish its Jewish population. In Defiance, it's the relatively unknown story of the Bielski brothers and their courageous undertaking in hiding and protecting hundreds of fellow Jews in the forest of occupied Russian territory. Daniel Craig plays Tuvia, who becomes the de facto leader of the hidden community after a power struggle with Brother Zus, Liev Schreiber. When Zus and others leave to fight with the Russian troops, Tuvia and his wards face the hardships of cold, hunger, and internal revolt. Defiance has its share of great moments, however, such as when varying classes of Jewish people, the rich, the poor, the educated, the peasant, all begin to cooperate, or when Zus must fight alongside an anti-Semitic Russian. But it also fizzles into overly familiar scenes. Defiance could easily have been trimmed down by 20 or 30 minutes. Still, the strength of the true story and some solid performances by Craig, Schreiber, and Jamie Bell, who played the youngest brother, give Defiance enough to make for a gratifying, if not great, historical drama. And this brings us to the end of the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for amazing movie reviews coming your way, and thank you for watching.